sorry. I went home to do an errand for Bob and. Okay, Nicole Brown.
So I'm here today to request final plat approval of the One Horse Creek subsequent minor subdivision. This is out on Radersburg.
Oh,
They received preliminary plat approval April 22nd of this year. They're now requesting final. So I'm just gonna pass the items around. I'll start this way and then just circle them back to Ann if that's okay.
It's just fine.
All right. So, item number 1. Plans for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for review and approval. Certificate of subdivision approval shall be filed with the final plat. All specifications in the approved plan shall be met. DEQ approval here.
Who owns this?
Richard and Darlene Dix currently. And there are 2 existing homes on this. This one essentially, they had a home here for their daughter, and they have a home here. Their daughter moved away, so now in order to sell this piece of property, they had to subdivide, but since this was a part of the original Moldenhauer minor subdivision, they had to go through the subsequent process, which is essentially the same as going through a major. So there are 2 existing homes on here, no additional homes are being added. They're simply splitting this so they can sell the home and parcel that their daughter used to live on. But they're going to
They're keeping
retain
all the
this.
rest of everything else.
Correct.
Because if it's been approved, then so.
Does this go with it?
Oh, no,
Oh,
no. This
okay.
is something just.
Item number 2 here that's going around. Prior to any development and/or soil disturbance, a weed management plan for the proposed development shall be submitted to the county weed district for review and approval. All specifications and requirements of the approved plan shall be met. And, Scott Benning has done his weed inspection and the weed board has signed off on it. I'm going to go on to number 3 because there's some information to pass around. The applicant will be required to submit the preliminary plat and final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of the application materials. And I retain that information on my computer, into my GIS system, so I have received that.
Do they have a buyer yet for these?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they were interested in it, so I'm trying to say yes. There's some interested parties. Item number 4, I'm sorry.
So is this already, these approaches were already in?
That's correct. We simply couldn't find a copy of the approved approach permit. And so number 4, prior to any development, approach permits shall be requested from the Montana Department of Transportation. All requirements of an approved permit shall be met. So basically this is a formality. MDT recognized that those approaches were already installed, but just to satisfy this requirement.
That's,
If it's
that's
complete
why
the
it's
process.
here, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
They did have to install all new approaches to it, or rip out the existing and update them to current specifications on both of them.
Those, that was after the highway, the state took that highway back over, so they were probably done to the state specs at that time.
Probably, and I think they were done in the eighties, I think they were done quite a long time ago originally. You know, to, when the original subdivision was done.
Oh, okay, could have been. I think they had to put that second approach, and then one approach, I think, was there probably forever. Yeah. As long as it required it, whatever.
Number 5, the applicant and the Fire Protection Authority having jurisdiction shall use their best efforts to draft a fire protection plan specifically for this subdivision in accordance with Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The plan shall be equally acceptable to the FPHJ, the applicant, and the county governing authority. The plan shall adequately address the fire risk analysis, all findings of fact, and appropriate mitigation measures. In the event the parties are unable to come to agreement by the final plat submittal, the applicant shall become eligible to provide the per lot cash in lieu fee for water supply as may be defined in the Broadwater County subdivision regulations in effect at the time of submittal. Coming around here is a letter from Fire Chief Ed Schindel, basically stating that he is okay with the use of the pond. There's just a small pond here on the Texas property, and since there are 2 existing structures, no additional homes are being constructed. He's not requiring either the fee or the installation of any services. So that pond will be just fine for them. And this letter will be recorded with the final plat. Number 6 is the plat itself. The final plat shall be prepared in accordance with applicable state survey requirements, Montana Subdivision and Plating Act survey requirements, and county subdivision regulations. It has been signed by our examining land surveyor and the owners, Richard and Darlene Dix. Number 7, the book and page reference to the restrictive covenants filed with the county clerk and recorder shall be indicated on the face of the final plat. In addition, restrictive covenants, revocable or alterable only with the consent of the Board of County Commissioners, shall be placed upon the property and shall provide for the following. A, notification of the potential health risk from radon concentrations and that such risk can be evaluated through soil tests and mitigated through radon abatement techniques incorporated into structures. B, a notification that all dwelling units within the subdivision should be constructed to specifications which meet or exceed equivalent provisions in the applicable state building code for this seismic zone, which is Zone 3. C, a notification that lots in the subdivision may be subject to impact fees if in place prior to lot sales. D, any additional replacement or relocated utility lines shall be installed underground in accordance with county subdivision regulations unless otherwise determined by the utility provider. E, any exterior lighting shall be directed downward to minimize visibility beyond the property lines. F, a waiver of the right to protest to join a special district for the purpose of providing community water and or wastewater treatment systems improvements and or maintenance. G, a restrictive covenant binding the landowner, any heirs, successors, and assigns, and all future owners of property within the subdivision, agreeing therein to hold Broadwater County harmless and indemnify Broadwater County from all claims, demands, obligations, suits, causes of action, damages, and liability, including the county's costs and attorney's fees arising in any manner whatsoever out of or relating to the existence, use, operation, repair, and or maintenance of the following. Subitem 1, earthquake fault zone and any seismic activity, and subitem 2, water availability. H, notification of the presence of egg operations in the vicinity. I, each lot shall be maintained in a clean, attractive, and weed-free manner. Noxious weeds must be pulled, sprayed, or cut prior to seed maturity. J, a prohibition of the storage of foods, garbage, or other activities that creates an attractive nuisance for wildlife species. Hay or alfalfa storage and feeding are not prohibited where livestock are permitted. K, all cats and dogs must be restrained, penned, or otherwise under the control of their owner at all times. L, address numbers shall be clearly marked at the driveway entrance to each lot and be easily identified from the road. M, a waiver of right to protest joining a rural improvement or maintenance district for the purpose of road maintenance, mosquito control, or equitably funding parks and maintenance of parks. Number 8, prior to filing the final plat, the following improvements shall be installed or otherwise guaranteed. And this has been done. A, any necessary improvements required by the stormwater drainage plan, weed management plan, or approach permits. As Bernadette said, those approaches have been installed to MDT specs. Number 9A, prior to filing the final plat, the applicant shall A, provide proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies. And come around, here's a copy of their tax bill showing they have paid their taxes for the year. And 9B, final item, provide documentation, an abstract of title or platting certificate showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same. Showing the name holders or lien holders or claimants of record and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against them. Includes their list of conditions, which I believe they have met. I also have a copy of their final plat.
Good job, Nicole.
Some of our stuff that we used to sell that off.
It really is. But being that it was already a subdivision, they had no other option to remove that portion of the lot that they wanted to sell. It's the only option in the state of Montana that they would have had. Couldn't do a family transfer because it's a subdivision. Turn it into an egg parcel because there's a house on it.
They had him by the nose, didn't they?
Well, looks good to me. This was one of those that was fairly easy when it came to us in April, as I remember. I see nothing that raises any alarm bells. They seem to have dotted every T and crossed every I. You know what I mean? So I will move that we grant final approval to the One Horse Creek subdivision.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded that we grant approval to the one horse subdivision. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. One Horse Creek subdivision is now been approved.
And if you wouldn't mind signing, there's 4 copies here. The special pen, please. Might need a new special pen.
Okay, Franklin.
We sign it too, all the same.
Oh.
We're gonna park in the sign there. Got 3.
Mm-mm.
There's one more that your hand's on.
Oh, right here.
You got this one,
No.
not that one. Hey, you got this one, just not that one right there.
It's just over here.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks, Ann. You can start without me if you want to, I read the contract.
Okay, super. So I have one copy here. I made 4 copies, but I had a quick little change, so I only have one here, sorry. This is for the examining and surveyor position. I basically modeled it off of our previous contract with WWC Engineering, the examining and surveyor portion of it, and then just ran it by Carla to make sure that it was legal.
Looks like it might be. Any questions?
Does Doug need to sign this or you run? Probably Doug. Okay, I'll pass it to you. Nicole.
You do that, but you can have one and have to sign that as well.
Okay.
It's still on the counter.
Thank you.
We already made that decision on who to hire for our examining land surveyor. I move that we go ahead and sign the contract, make it official, and set the parameters.
A second.
It's moved and seconded that we sign the professional service agreement with Don Schauber. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those the same. Motion carried.
So I'll keep the original in my file, and I'll provide Commission a copy as well as the recorder's office a copy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we signed the WWC contract last week. Do you want a copy of that in your office as well?
That's not necessary.
Okay.
Thank you, as long as it's.
Do you want a copy? Okay.
So do you see subdivisions increasing now?
I have one subdivision right now that we are waiting to take to the planning board, so that'll be interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, just outside of town, so.
Where, which way?
East and slightly north, it's just south of Mountain View, Oklahoma.
Oh, really? Hmm.
So the planning board's gonna review that this week, and setting our public hearing, and about 2 months you'll have it here, so.
Interesting. Thank you.
Nicole, I agree. You know, I talked to you earlier today about, on that north of the Hill Street.
Yes,
Do you want to bring it up?
certainly. So the Hill Street issue in Tustin, I know that we've talked about this before, North Beach have been in. I sent all of the information that I was provided with on to Susan, and we've had some conversations, both email and telephone, but I haven't gotten a response back from her yet. So Greg Norsby has been in a couple of times, and he's kind of anxious to find out what's going on. I also have not responded to Doug Brecker or Paul Orth, simply because I don't have an answer to respond to them with. So I guess I'm wondering, what would the commission like me to do from here? Should we continue to wait, and should I continue to tell these folks to wait? Or is there another option that we would have to move this forward?
I don't think we have any choice but to wait.
Okay.
Wait for what?
For Susan to respond
Mhm.
and let us know what to do there?
Either way, my suggestion was we gotta find the boundaries of Hill Street. So that could be done, it's gonna be done sooner or later. Should we go ahead and get that part of it done?
But finding those pins that, you know, they wouldn't necessarily be in the middle of the road. I think that at issue is, or my understanding of the largest issue is there's a 30 by 60 foot portion of property that we're just not sure where the ownership belongs with. Does it belong with the folks to the south, or does it belong to Hill Street? Bridge Street was closed, those boundary lines were all moved to the center line except for Hill Street. Hill Street is the road that comes down and intersects with Bridge Street. That was moved to be all the way up to 60 feet, so the person to the south obtained all 60-foot right-of-way in that 30 by 60-foot section. Maybe the county should have retained the ownership of that, we're not sure. It's like, that's the way I posed this question to Susan, who really owns that? So if a road, you know, if two roads intersect, and the road, one of the intersecting roads closes, do those folks that have property on there, do they own all the way up, you know, the entire 60 feet, or should it come to the center line? I don't know anywhere where it would say that. So to me, it seems like we need a legal opinion on it, but in order to find that information out, maybe, I don't know that surveying it at this point would do anything more, simply because the survey's already been recorded that established those pins, and those centerline pins from, or there wouldn't be centerline pins, but from Bridge Street would have not been established, so doing that survey, I don't know what that would accomplish at this point, but it seems like, you know, I would really like to be able to give these folks an answer. But then we're still waiting, so I guess I just wanted to know how the commission felt about this. Should we continue to hear from Susan?
Beyond that, in my opinion, it's out of the county's hands, it's not a county issue anymore. I do think it would be a courtesy to find out from Susan what her opinion is, as far as that piece you're referring to. I don't think we have a choice. One thought I did have is perhaps we should send a letter that says, we've sent all this on and we're waiting for an answer, but sometimes that actually creates more questions at a time when you just don't have the answers. They're all aware of what we've done to this point, what the situation is. So I think, I don't know, what do you guys think? That is another letter that says this is going to the land use attorney overkill and ask him to open another can of worms? Or is it a good courtesy type thing to do?
My thought is, and I know you were asking the commission, but you know, my only
You
thought
as
was
well.
that, you know, these folks are waiting to hear from the county, and I don't want them to think that we've just forgotten about them.
They've been waiting
And
for-
unfortunately, we are waiting for a response from an outside source that we have no control over. So it's not that we've forgotten, or that we've just let this fall off the table and hope that it goes away. We're simply waiting.
It's been going on for months, and you said the county doesn't have responsibility. The county does, because the county owns the Hill Street. That's county property. So the county is completely involved in this.
After it's closed, that actually.
It's not closed.
Didn't we vote to close it? We closed Bridge Street.
And Hill Street
Thank
is
you.
remaining open.
Okay. Yeah, the issue is with the closing of the streets though, as I understand it. So, yeah, I think, based on what you said, I totally support a courtesy letter.
Okay.
But I think as far as anything more concrete, we've got to wait to hear from the land use attorneys.
I would agree 100%. They deserve a letter.
Even if it says, I'm sorry, we have no new information, but just so they know that, you know,
Right.
you know, Greg's been a couple of times, and he's very nice about it, but, you know, I certainly don't want Mr. Parker and Mr. Orth also to think that this is just something that we're ignoring.
Right, because that's not the
Correct.
case.
Okay, so I'll send a letter to,
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I try to send a letter, like I said, but we are responsible. We own the street. And it's, I don't know, like I say, it's been going on for, I think, 6 months now.
it's been that long with the commission level.
I think so.
I think I
Maybe
sent
even
it
longer.
to Susan, maybe 5 weeks, I don't think it's even been 6 weeks since, you know, it's come to my office, and I passed it on to Susan.
And really it dates back to what, 50s and the 80s before that, so it does have a long tail.
Sure. And I'll just say, you know, that this is not like Susan to not get back, and I know that she's probably got a tremendous workload all across the state, so, I'll just kind of keep on top of it and keep bugging her for a response. But in the meantime, I'll send a letter to, Mr. Worth, Mr. Becker,
Could you CC us on that letter too? Just so if they follow up with us, we're aware of what the letter said.
Sure.
Did you say Lane too?
I did not. Should I
Prob-
send?
I think you should, because
Okay.
he'll be involved, possibly, depends at where the end of those pins go for Hill Street, so.
That's true, it would directly involve. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very quick. Michael.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Happy New Year.
Great seeing you back.
You kind of hit the ground running, 100 miles an hour.
Oh, it's
Thank
okay.
you.
Hello. Today we're going to talk a couple things. We're going to talk about the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which is the EMPG grant, which is due for next fiscal year. What I'm going to hand out first of all is going to be a summary of the grant before I actually need the document.
Looks like I'm extra.
Oh, I did too.
Oh,
We all
okay.
did.
Oh, yeah. And that little box on the top, of course, first of all, this is a 50% match grant. This is the grant the county gets that helps pay for the salary and operation of half of the DES operation, the office, the DES coordinator. And you can see that that's how much money has been awarded. The state gets a big chunk of money, $3 million, and they allocate it to the various counties based upon population, a couple of little factors that formula. That's our grant that's been awarded to us clear back in April. And this is the grant application. We have to equal that with a match, in-kind match or soft match. It's going to be $5,000. We have to come up with hard cash of about $19,734. And this year on the grant, the requirements is we have to identify the projects that we are working on that help promote the national preparedness goals. And these are 6 projects that I've identified. And my salary and the expense of our office has to be divided into the project, allocated. And that's kind of a goal of time, but a little nice, Excel worksheets sure do help out. And I've had a little background in budgeting when I worked at the state budget office. So those are the projects. One's going to be a threat assessment. That's one of the requirements for us to do a local county in the future. We're going to update our emergency operations plan. We're going to develop the emergency operations center, and then community wildfire protection plan. And then number 5 is a fire safe community awareness. People live in the woods, and then some local exercise design. Down in the next category is training. I proposed 4 trainings. One's going to, we have a little training on what this threat, hazard identification, risk management involves. I'm not too sure what that involves. It's something new. Came out of Homeland Security. The second one there is incident command system, 200 level, and that's for all of our emergency responders to take that. Fire, EMS, law enforcement, even public works. And then number 3 is these two-way radio user trainings. And training is wearing new radios into the fire department, ambulance, search and rescue. A little bit of training on how to use those and try to make their communications a little bit more effective. And then the governor's having a conference in Billings this year. And then exercises. We've planned 3 exercises, 3 tabletops. First one is we'd like to work with the hospital on tabletop on evacuation of the hospital, emergency evacuation of the hospital. Talked to Mary Mystic on that. That's part of a good project, both for the hospital and EMTs and firefighters. The second tabletop we'd like to do a little bit later in the year, which is the evacuation of special needs people. Those are people in the community that are in the scooters, the elderly, senior homes, and those that don't have vehicles. We have to identify those primarily in the city. We're going to work out on the city. And the third one, is if a Hebden Dam fails, we have about 30 hours to evacuate the entire city. And that would probably be our spring project tabletop. We've done that before down at West Yellowstone. You attended that. That involved those multi-counties. This would be an extension of that work here with our county, our people, sheriff, law enforcement, fire, hospitals, schools, everybody. And that's how I plan to spend the money. And on the next page is going to be the budget summary of the grant that breaks it down by how much money by planning, projects, salaries, and travel, supplies, contracted services, and then training, and then exercises, and then capital expenditures there on accountable supplies. And what I'll do now is hand out the grant application itself. There's 2 pages, front and back. And I'm working with Montana DES on this grant application. And I'll try to get it sent in today. If the commission concurs. What it does basically is it breaks it down by projects, planning projects. And I've already told them that project number 1 corresponds with this handout, the summary. And then if you turn the next page, and then on page number, I guess, project
Six.
number 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
2.
page 4.
Sorry.
Page 4 would be, and this kind of breaks down, you have to fill all these little blocks out on the grant application. It came in a Word document. That was kind of fun. It was good. Good exercise. I learned a lot about EMPG grants. And I've got a lot to learn from this whole thing. And that's the kind of the details on page, on what page would that, page 6, like on Broadwater County DES project number 3 is to develop the Emergency Operations Center. We've identified a couple of different locations. We've identified the 4-H building up on the hill. Fire teams have used that for fire camps at times. We've identified the city hall at times, but if we're going to evacuate the city, or we have a train wreck that has hazmat chemicals, like chlorine or something, that would interfere if we have to evacuate the city hall. So we're kind of looking back at the 4-H building. We've also talked about at one time going out to Lanting on flats out there, north of town. Those are the issues I think we need to discuss in the LAPC committee and come back and make recommendations to the commission. Incidentally, the LAPC is going to be this Thursday at 3 o'clock at Flowserve's building. We'll bring these issues up at that meeting as well. Community Wildfire Protection Plan Project. We have some Title III money, Forest Title III money, which I'll bring up next. I'd like to talk about. I had asked, I sent an email to Tammy to put it on the agenda, but it didn't get on today's posted on today's agenda. We'll bring it up next week on how to spend that money. This describes that project for a community wildfire protection plan. Project number 4, and on the next page we have project number 5, which is Fire Safe, Firewise Community Awareness Program. That, you know, there's several different things we can do for the community there. One of them is that third one, mile of safety, as well as go out and contact them. And do a walk around their homes. They call that evaluation of the ignition zone. We kind of do an evaluation of people's homes and give them some suggestions of what can be done. Through the Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group out of Helena, which Broadwater County is one of the 3 counties, there's actually some federal money that's available for that in this county, in all 3 counties. And they'll help, usually that's a 50-50 match, landowner has to come up with 50% of it, but some of that can be in kind, like their labor, clearing brush, weeding, things like that. That's going to have to really be all of our county. And we can work with the landowner on that. And Pat McKellar is a specialist that's on that. We'll bring Pat over and talk to some of these landowners. And then the project number 6 is local exercise and design. And instead of just putting administration down, you have to actually take your cost for the DES salary and break it down by what kind of projects the DES coordinator is going to work on if you're going to use federal money. And it's a good idea. It makes the counties accountable. It actually makes us work towards specific projects, goals, makes some accomplishments. And it helps us spend federal tax dollars and local county dollars wisely. We actually prepare better for the next disaster. And this grant just goes on through on the next page. We have training, I guess, training number 1. There's training number 2, ICS training. You might notice there's quite a little salary in their training for training there. Usually we have volunteers that come to the training. Excuse me. But we do have some members of the law enforcement community that belong to a union. And we like to have them come in and attend that training. And if they do that, then they're compensated to do that in evenings, and that's overtime. Part of the grant, this grant money is available, is actually to compensate those employees for time and a half. And I think that would be good. What I budgeted in here was for 2 deputies, 2 communication officers. And then I'll leave that up to the sheriff to move that money around any way she wants. We have flexibility in here during the year. We just have to give them a plan of how they want to spend. If they want to send 5 officers or communications officers and other deputies, that's not, it doesn't make any difference. But I tried to build some salary in there so we can reimburse the sheriff's office on those expenses if they attend this type of training. And it's very important everybody attends this training. We have to do an annual report with the Homeland Security about what type of incident management training do our volunteers have, as well as our paid staff has. And one of the goals we're trying to do is get as many people as possible that have not taken ICS 200 to take that class. I know we have some new search and rescue members and some new firefighters that have not taken it yet. And that's one of the things, to get more grant money on for radios, we have to make sure everybody's trained in ICS. So I want to continue that program. Training number 3 is the use of 2-way radios for those that get new radios. Teach them how to use them. Brandon Clayton has been doing some of that training with fire department. He's volunteered to do that with search and rescue and stuff. If we get more radios for them, and he kind of enjoys that and understands that computer stuff, programming. And that's good. That's a great resource. He's the assistant fire chief for the rural fire district. And then the last thing is attending the governor's conference in Billings. There on page 15, you'll see we have our exercises broken down in the hospital, emergency exercise, evacuation exercise. These are just the tabletops. And what we're going to do there, we budgeted some money there to actually have meals. Have it in the evening after work, and we'll actually buy pizza or something for those people. And that's an expense that's allowable in the federal grant. And as long as it involves a meal time. Of course, we'll be doing it from 5 o'clock to 5 o'clock or something. To get volunteers, the people come in after work and let them sit there until 8 o'clock. Some will bring snack lunches, others won't. It's kind of, they all want to take off and get something. So it's best to just kind of feed them. So I built some money in for each exercise. We have to take care of our volunteers because they dedicate a lot of time. All the EMTs, and although they do get compensated from the hospital, each ambulance run for our firefighters, search and rescue. That kind of gives you an overview of the emergency management performance grant. And, I have not sent it in yet. Kind of want to get some feedback from the commission. I'll also visit with the local emergency planning committee on Thursday about these projects. You know, and once the grant's approved, we can move these things around. We just kind of have to get their blessing. And, let them know what we want to do with the request. We like to put money from this project to this project, or this project isn't going to work. We have something more important to come up. We have that flexibility to do that. Any questions from the commission?
I think somebody can move that money back and forth.
Yes, we can.
That's what I'm okay with, as long as you go through the right hurdles, right?
Yes, we sure can. And it funds this agency, you know, 1/2 the funds for my salary and expenses. It's kind of been that way since, even when I was DES coordinator from 96 through 2001. They called it a different grant at that time. It was about $10,000 at 10 times all we got. We weren't paid so much.
It might be radios.
Yes.
Will this, will the training that you have scheduled here, will that close out that whole project? Or are there more radio trainings that will need to happen after this?
This should close that out. Now, I checked with Debbie Kelly, who had worked with Angie Milligan. Apparently the county has been reimbursed for the fire department radio.
Excellent.
That's been reimbursed. We do have to work on the next 2 weeks trying to get reimbursed for the 4th and 5th quarters. That would be federal quarters, which would probably be April, May, June, July, August, and September for the current EMPG grant.
Okay.
That is still out pending, but we do have time to put those in. We've got 5 days after the end of the federal fiscal year, which is probably October 5th. When the federal year begins. So those things we must follow through on, work on that.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what the status of other federal grants, the Homeland Security grants are. There's a couple out there. I'm going to have to try to tackle those. I know there's a grant for some more money for radios, like for search and rescue and EMTs. I don't know what the status of that application is, and I don't know if it's ever been awarded. And I know there's a Deep Creek hazard mitigation grant out there, and I haven't followed up on that yet either. I don't know what the status of that one is. I don't think any money's been awarded on either one of those. But we do need money for search and rescue and EMT radios, handhelds, I believe it is.
Okay.
I think the mobiles have been all purchased. Sheriff, is she back? Mobile's been purchased for search and rescue vehicles.
Yes.
And I think the ambulances have two, and the hospital itself. We just need to work on some handhelds for search and rescue and EMTs. Search and rescue and EMT, yeah. And I don't think the fire department has any more needs. I'll have to check with them. They keep adding new members, and that's good. That's a good sign. They may need some more radios. There's a few glitches in those, and Brandon's gonna try to figure that out once we get the software. I have talked to Gary Schmidt of Motorola and Helicopter Communications, and he's gonna give us a kind of I requested an estimate what that software would cost. And Brandon feels confident that he could do that, reprogram those radios. I guess Winston didn't get all programmed or someone got mixed up or something. He can straighten that out, and he'd be willing to do it for EMTs, law officers, or he thinks he can understand that software. I do. Different generation. But anyway, he's a good resource. That's all I have on the EMPG grant.
Did I hear that the road crew is gonna get radios too?
Yes, I've neglected to add that. Yes, they need mobiles in their radios. That is part of that, I think. I don't know if that grant has been submitted or not. I have to look into that. But yes, road crew would be included. Mobiles, that would be, mobile is what goes in the unit, handhelds, what they carry. I don't know what Dana's request was, but I have to follow up on that, find the status of that. Now, they would have that over there at Montana DES, I'm sure, if a grant application had been submitted. Those on radios, we have to run through, not only Montana DES, we have to run through the thing called the governing board on interoperable communications, which is a deal that's a statewide deal with different people appointed to that, some county sheriffs, fire chiefs, highway department, highway patrol, as well as some EMTs and some public works people. They're the ones that approve funding, secondary funding on that. They set priorities. And I don't know what the status of that is. I'm looking.
We partnered with Lewis and Clark County. They wrote the grant. We kind of
Okay.
fell under their umbrella.
Oh,
So that
excellent.
might be a good place to start as Laura Erickson.
Laura Erickson, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions? Thanks
Um,
for bringing that up.
On the 30th, we are meeting with Sean Higley, who is still working on the Deep Creek Restoration Project.
Okay.
And Denise Thompson was here earlier to sit in on that. We'll also have Ken Atwood from
Okay.
FEMA.
That's the
here.
30th?
Yeah.
Okay, what time?
That will be at 10:45.
Okay, 10:45.
If you could be here, that'd be a good time to ask
You should,
questions.
I had 11:15 written down.
Well, whenever it is.
Oh, wait a minute, okay, I mean, that's Conrad, minor subdivision, I was covering up something.
Okay, 10:45?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'll learn more. I'll just study up on it.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that project. I think it was 1.3 million.
Yeah,
I'll read
it's
the
a
thing.
big project. It involves a lot of partners. so-
Okay,
Yeah,
I will do my homework.
okay. I have another question.
Yes,
Title III funds have to be allocated by the end of this month.
yes.
We won't be here next Monday,
Okay.
but we will be here on the 30th. Is that, it's the last day of the month, will that work?
Sure.
So if we
We're gonna
got you
talk
on
about
that.
next.
Okay, so if we just got you on the 30th, we'd be okay?
You could, yes.
Okay.
I'll just hand these out so you have a chance to look at it ahead of time. I don't know if you, did I email these to you?
Yes.
Oh, I did, right, okay. I will share this with the population. Yes, that'd be fine. On the Title III money, just to, well, we brought the subject up, that money has to be obligated, and that means it doesn't have to be spent, it has to be assigned to a project. And before we can spend that money, we also have to have that 45-day public comment period. And we probably should start that. I can prepare an ad, put it in the newspaper. And just like Forest Service does on anything that they have, they'll refer to the federal law, request public comments in the next 45 days, and there'll be a cutoff period sometime, and get feedback. Now, there's only three things we can spend that money on. They're listed here on number 3. There's A, B, and C for this community wildfire. The second thing we can spend it on is reimburse the county for emergency services. That's fire department, search and rescue, law enforcement, and for actual expenses that they incurred on have already been paid for response on federal lands, BLM, Forest Service, or BOR. And I sent an email, I think, to the sheriff. If there's any issues like that, we'll take it off the top. We'll reimburse our county agents and services before we pick on new projects, or start to take on new projects, is what I would recommend. If she comes up with some projects, or the sheriff, fire department does, on federal land, and then we'll bring those to the board the next time we meet, which will be the 3rd, which is on the agenda. And then I would propose to split this between community fire lines and then the community wildfire protection line, half and half, or whatever's left, after we pay the reimburse the county agencies that actually had some expenses on the federal.
Do we have 1 year to use it after it's allocated? Do you know?
I think, I don't know if there's any limitation on that, Commissioner. I would have to research that deeper.
Okay,
I don't think there is.
that would be nice. If we could just keep it and use it.
Once it's allocated and you've gone through your 45-day period, it actually becomes county funds. It
Okay.
can be used to match, I think, the EMPG grant. That's what I've been told by Jefferson County. That's what they're doing. But it
Okay,
has to be, and it becomes county funds, but still it can only be spent on these 3 purposes. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
See, so we can actually use it to match something, more federal money. So that's what McCalvy's doing with, so with Jefferson County funds.
okay.
They assigned theirs to Tri-County Fire Safe for projects in Jefferson County. And it was a big chunk of money, they hadn't allocated it, and then they did. And they passed got it, you have to spend it on either planning or fire-wise projects. And I don't think there's any limit after that. You can't divert it to go do something else.
As long as it stays in this
Your program,
context.
you can't buy radios with it, or you can't pay other things, as long as it works, as long as you keep it in one of those 3 contexts.
Okay,
But I think it becomes county money, and you use it as a match. That's what Pat's been doing, using it with match or BLM, Forest Service money, to match, to help it. I think they had a special deal in Jefferson County early in the year, instead of 50-50 match, they had a 25-75 match. Landowner, 25, Title III money, 25, and then the BLM Forest Service money, the 50. It was incentive to do those projects early in the year, instead of waiting until fire season. As you get into fire season and smoke in there, then everybody wants to do their house.
mhm,
And just kind of an incentive to shift workload earlier in the year. Which is a one-time idea, and I don't know if you had any takers or not, Jeff. I'm sure you did.
I hope so, it's a good idea.
Any questions on either subject? Title III will have to take up on the agenda on the 30th, you said, okay?
Do we need a motion for the EMPG grant now, or?
That would be good if commissioners want to do that on the EMPG grant.
Maybe make a motion for that. Okay, I'll make a motion for the EMPG grant of 24,000 funding local disaster emergency services for the next fiscal year.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded that we do an EMPG grant in the amount of $24,734. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
And Title III, we're doing that till the 30th.
We'll have to do that 30th, get it on the agenda. And the last item I want to bring up to you, last week I was here, and I had a proposed letter to Lewis and Clark County GIS, as you recall. And I think it's on this week's agenda, this commission meeting agenda. What we want to do there, Lewis and Clark County GIS, we want to we're giving Lewis and Clark County GIS, their planning department, addressing department, or IT department, whatever it is, authority to use our county rural addressing data, electronic data, for the Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group, wildfire fuel hazard mapping project. What we do, we've done is we've gone out with Forest Service, DNRC, and then we also have hired some contractors. Sunny Stagger, I believe you're reading this.
Yes,
I
it's
love your
good.
book.
Yeah, I liked it.
He's a fire behavior analyst. He went out into different areas where people are building homes in the community and get a fuel hazard index is real dangerous. And what we use that for is we like to put the rural addressing ports, 20-something. We have these fuel hazard maps, so when we send firefighters, EMTs, or even law enforcement officers into these areas, they'll know they're responding into hazard areas. As well as we can go out and target those people with our Firewise fire safety literature. We know where we'll target by the highest risk first, rather than look for somebody down on the plane. So we try to do what's most good up on the hill. That's what we use this information for. And Lewis and Clark County Commissioners said we cannot be, their GIS people cannot be borrowing information from other counties without the county's Board of County Commissioners, because that information will become public information. So what I'm asking for, and what they're asking for, is a letter of approval from the commissioner. Because it's your information, you paid for it through enhanced 911 funds. I think Nicole's done a good job on it. We just need the electronic information. When we go out on the fire teams, we do that all the time. Our team brings our own GIS people, our own plotters. And we go to the courthouse and ask for the plotter to give us a thumb drive, their rural address, and we plug it in, and we print fire maps out where our firefighters are going, all those rural address points and addresses. Doesn't give anybody's name or how many people live there or anything like that, just so we know where to find these people. So many people get up in these hills and build homes and stuff. Well, we don't know where they're at. If your firefighters come from out of the county, they don't know anything about that. So it helps us, and it's just, we're preparing for the large wildfire. So it's just the information. But they won't print it without the Board of County Commissioners' permission. I guess everybody signed that issue.
We voted on that.
I talked too much. All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? LEPC meeting,
Yes.
Thursday, 3 o'clock. This is our mission statement. I've been working with Mary Alice on it a little bit,
Thank you.
and we'll bring that up and discuss it. And public is welcome to those meetings. We'll look forward to 3 o'clock. Thank you, Commissioners. Anything else for my comment?
I scheduled you for 11:30 next, on the 30th, for Title III funds allocate.
11:30?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And 10:45 for the applicant's agent discussion on Deep Creek.
Okay, 10:45 would be the Deep Creek. And 11:30, Title III. She'll be nothing next week.
No, we have a conference, NACO conference.
NACO.
Yep.
Well, learn everything.
All right, we will.
We're gonna go to the governor's conference, and that's co-sponsored by NACO in February, I've done it.
The one you were just talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
Any questions? I'll get out of here. Is this the last item? Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Great seeing you back.
Good to be back.
Before we end, I'm wondering, for CTI, if I could get a vote, if I'm going to follow up with CTI, I think I'd like to have a vote if the commission is behind us
Okay.
as a body.
On CTI, we need to do a motion for Laura to contact them and get some help.
Whatever. What we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would move we support contacting CTI for some employee trainees.
Yeah, that's all we already did.
It's moved and seconded, and do we contact CTI regarding some All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
And my second question is our working meeting Wednesday at 10. Do you guys want to work downstairs on the big table where we have more room to spread out versus here? It'll just be the three of us. I mean, the public's welcome to listen, but there's no comment. So I think we'd be more comfortable downstairs if that's okay with you guys.
Fine with that.
Okay.
And we need your signature in the top block there. You know what you say? Non-illegitimate carpet. That's the best.
It's the oldest grandson's birthday today. I don't know if this is the time or place to bring it up, but after our meeting this morning, I went to use the restroom down here. I kid you not, it's like sitting on the floor. It is so low.
Oh,
You need
wow.
a booster?
I needed a booster. I thought I was gonna have to spend the rest of my life there.
We have one at home, you're welcome to borrow it.
Well, I just think we need a toilet. It's taller.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the only one that is crippled up and.
No, and that's used for all the jurors.
That's right.
All the people who come from out of town for legal needs, well, now for public prosecution needs too. Yeah.
And so I think personally that we should give Mike the authority to get him installed, hired. I mean, it's terrible. Joan,
I've got one that fits on top toward two, that raises it up.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's either 3 or 4 inches.
Well, this, I mean, when I went to sit down, I thought, my God, I'm gonna go here to the floor. You know,
The VA wouldn't take it back, so
yeah.
You can get what they call an old man's toilet, which is about 2 or 3 inches higher than a normal toilet.
yeah.
Well, I'm not an old man, but I'm an old woman.
But this just fits on top.
Mhm.
Like it could be moved around if need be.
Mhm. Well, I just.
Yeah, I realize.
It's probably silly me bringing it up, but,
Not at all.
you know,
If you brought it up, chances are a dozen from the public noticed as well.
well, I would think so.
Yeah.
Any other business? Can we go to the order?
You know, without it.
Okay. If not, I will adjourn the meeting. I'll sit here and do claims. Have you done claims yet?
No.
What'd you call it? Public comment?
No, I didn't. I should.
Yeah.
I screwed up. Public comment, any? Public comment? You're just fine.
Hey, no, you were good.
Good to see you back.
It's good to be back, Paul.
I bet it is.
It's good to be back. Now, this afternoon, I heard the machine.
Are you?
Yeah,
A little bit
but,
worn out.